Alright, so hi everyone, Austin from Coding Pals here, and today we'll be taking a look at the Canadian Computing Competition 2017 Junior Problem 1, Quadrant Selection. A common problem in mathematics is to determine which quadrant a given point lies on. There are 4 quadrants numbered 1 to 4, as shown in the diagram below. And if we see the diagram, it gives us quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And then it says, for example, the point A, which coordinates 12, 5, at coordinates 12, 5 lies in quadrant 1 since both its x and y values are positive, and point B lies in quadrant 2 since its x value is negative and y value is positive. So our job is just to take a point and determine the quadrant it is in. And it says that you can assume that neither of the two coordinates will be 0. And then it will say, and then now it says in the input specification, the first line of input contains the integer x, and then the second line of input contains the integer y. So we don't have to worry too much about the input specification. And now it says the output specification just tells us that we have to output the quadrant number 1, 2, 3, or 4 for the point x, y. All right, so if we just take a look at this graph, we just see that the quadrant 1 coordinates are both positive. The quadrant 2 coordinates, 1 is negative, which is the x value, and then 1 is positive, which is the y value. And there's this reoccurring pattern. So if we just use that information, we will know exactly what quadrant, we'll know exactly which quadrant we need to output. So we can just start coding this right now. So we know we need to first, we can call our variable x, and that will be an integer, and then we have a variable y, and that will also be an integer. So we know that in order to output output quadrant 1, we know that both of the numbers are positive. Thus we can just say if x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0, then we basically know just to print 1. Otherwise we can use an else if statement. Else if x, I guess, is x is smaller than 0 and y is greater than 0, then we know we just print 2. And we know that the third quadrant, both numbers are negative. So we can just say else if x is smaller than 0 and y is smaller than 0. Then we can just print 3. And then if all these if statements fail, then we can just go else and print 4. So we can test the sample input 12, 5, which should give us 1. Alright, so that works. We can just submit this and grade. Alright, so that looks good. So I guess to summarize our solution, so what we use is an if statement, and it's always good to ask yourself if you need to use the greater or equal to sign, which will look like this. And the question is quite easy and specifically told us that we can assume neither of the two coordinates will be 0, so that's just much easier for us. So then we just know that we don't have to worry about a greater or equal to, and we can just use simple if statements and else if statements to get our solution. Thank you.